doesn't get a birthday dinner.
You are a demon, not my family. You are a malevolent entity that needs to be driven out of the house immediately.
We should throw holy water at St. Michael's prayer. Let's drive the demon disguised as a daughter-in-law and bring peace into our home.
What the? Wait a minute. You've got to be kidding me.
My mother-in-law grabs the bottle of water with great enthusiasm and turns to me. Her eyes are blazing, and she seems possessed by a demon. I'm sure she is unaware of her own.
Scene. Jason, help me.
The cry for help is ignored. My father-in-law and my husband hold the rosary. Oh no, do you all hate me that much? I've endured the daily bullying of my mother-in-law and have done my best housework.
Today is September 29th, so it's a great opportunity to do this. You should be thankful that I let a demon live among us for a little while.
She raises her arm in the air, and my eyes shut involuntarily.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
I open my eyes slightly to see her panic. I see everyone's looking at her, and the story goes back some time ago. I don't mean to brag, but my husband and I are so in love with each other. He is a gentleman, although he is too serious. He understands that I tend to get all my work done and takes very good care of me. He's a really great companion. We got married a few years ago and bought a house at the end of last year. It's a bit of a headache, though, to think about the mortgage. But I'm happy because I feel like we have really found our family. My relationship with my father-in-law is excellent. Like Jason, he is serious and a bit. He is now retired, but when he was a businessman, he was admired by his colleagues. His hobby is traveling, and he often buys fresh produce from the countryside. He often says that Jason is lucky to be married to me. I feel tickled every time he does. The problem is,
Hello, Jason? It's your birthday coming up. Land I to your house to celebrate.
Mom, you don't have to come over of event. We just saw each other last week, right?
What are you talking about? We should be together all the time. If Aaron doesn't feed us well,
I groan at her high-pitched voice on the phone. The only problem in my happy marriage is my mother-in-law, Meghan. I've been subjected to criticism and harassment like this from the very beginning, and it has gotten worse over time. She barges into my house unannounced, says that it's not tidy enough, and starts cleaning on her own. When she calls my name in her piercing voice, I begin to brace myself. Jason says that she's had a very peculiar personality since he was a child. She used to be a tiger mom, locking his room and making him study. She was also a very economical person, or rather a cheapskate. She was so stingy that she hardly ever bought toys. In the past, she was so frugal that not celebrate any holidays and event. When Jason mentioned that his family did not particularly celebrate Christmas, it spread throughout the neighborhood. After that, she became morbidly obese and had to undergo several surgeries. When I asked him how she came to be, he answered with disgust.
She has relatives who are well off, are all highly educated. She's jealous of them.
Huh? Is that the only reason?
It's ludicrous, isn't it? I think you as an enemy because she has a CC about her low education, 33.
I did graduate from an academically well-known university. That was the result of my efforts. I worked my butt off to get accepted. I don't deserve to be represented for. There's no way I can tell her this out, though. If my relationship with her deteriorated, so would my relationship with Cian. Jason would not feel good about it.
I'm sorry that she's been hard on.
No, it's not your fault.
Even though she is a strange person, see her a few times a year. I thought it was bearable until received. She has been making direct remarks frequently than before. it has become increasingly difficult for me to shrug it off, and I've been avoiding much as possible. However, it is not uncommon for mistakes to occur. Do I have to deal with this person rest of my life? I wait patiently for the call to fire. A week before the birthday dinner, I decided to speak to Cian. I know that Megan would complain but I want to at least be prick. I don't even know what time they played over. After a few rings, I hear his voice through.
This is Aaron, 33.
33.
His voice gives me an uneasy feeling. It sounds less energetic than usual. Normally, he excitedly tells me about his recent travels or about his hobby of collecting antiques. My hand holding the phone tightens as I wonder if something is wrong.
What's wrong? You sound to be in Munich spirits.
Well,
He says that some antiques in his collection have gone missing. It's only recently that the number's decreasing. Some of them he has treasured for the gone. Thinking it might be a thief, he confronted Megan, but she brushed him off as his imagination and didn't take him seriously. He explains sadly that his men have deteriorated since his retirement. Is not confident enough to report to the police.
sorry, this has nothing to do with your question.
Don't be. Thank you for confiding.
No matter how much his memory is failing, do not believe that he would misunderstand such an important thing. There must be something going on. I get a hunch, so I tell Jason about soon as he gets home. After listening to my whole story, remembering something.
Come to think of it, my mom's been me pictures of designer brand bags days. When I dropped her off at the doctor's office the other day, she was wearing 2 fancy-looking shoes for the occasion.
She said her friend gave them to her. He stops changing from his suit and at the ceiling, thinking about some. A few days later, it becomes clear what he has been through.
Ugh, he's so late. 33.
As I wrap up Jason's supper, I look clock and see that it's already 9:06. He has gone to his parents' house in the morning and hasn't returned yet. I've sent him texts, but he hasn't them. I'm worried that something's wrong, about to call him. Then I hear the open. I rush to the front and find an exhausted-looking Jason standing there. He says he hasn't had dinner, so I made some food and put it on the table for him. After taking a bite, he finally looks relaxed.
I'm sorry, I haven't been able to.
That's fine, but what happened?
It's probably Mom who stole Dad.
No way. That can't be true.
I have proof. She was out with friends, so I snuck in to see her today.
He shows me the screen of his phone. What I see is a closet full of clothes. There are several pieces of clothing from well-known brands. He slides his finger across the screen of a bank statement. I see Cian's name as an account hold.
Is this the only balance he has?
Yup. Apparently, my mom spent When I told my dad, he wasn't surprised.
They've already experienced something like this before. Jason's toys, gifted by his dad and relatives, kept disappearing. It used to happen so often, but where his mom, she kept denying it. Instead of helping him find them, him.
If you have time to play, then you should study, get into a good school, and enjoy the luxuries of life.
She kept repeating these things too. He listened to her at first. She told him to study, but didn't tell him to get a tutor or buy him any reference books. Her attitude was so contradictory that it began to distrust her. By the time he was in high school, he had become indifferent to her comments.
So I talked it over with Dad.
He told me in a low voice about his past. Jason's birthday has arrived. Megan comes over wearing a flashy dress. I can tell it's a designer's bag by the logos all over it. Sadly, it doesn't suit her at all. I look away in shame, but she doesn't at all. and comes into the house as if it were her own. Scene apologizes to me. She mentioned that she would bring for us today, so I prepared only the minimum, some snacks and drinks. She starts putting out the items one by one as soon as she enters her living room. They all seem to come from the gourmet, and the salads and hors d'oeuvres are very fancy. It only makes me feel disgusted after Jason's story. I can't help but think that her diet is bought with a lot of money. When the table is about to be filled with lots of food, she excitedly sets out beautiful cakes. Jason is puzzled when he sees it.
What? Only 3 pieces?
Well, I don't need a lot of sweets. Aaron, can you cut them into small?
Sure. 33.
What are you talking about? They're from a famous pastry shop. It was difficult to get them. Anyway, there are only 3 people family. 33.
Megan deliberately puts her hand on her chin and lowers her voice.
Erin is not a family member. She is. Demons don't eat cakes.
She puts a smirk on her face. I'm so taken aback that I can't say anything back. I knew she was outrageous, but I never thought she would call me a demon. I glare at her, but she seems nonchalant. She waves her hand at me as if to shoo away an insect. Then she grabs something from her bag. It's a small bottle of clear liquid.
I have an idea. Let's throw holy water at her. Let's drive the demon disguise as a daughter-in-law and bring peace back into this family.
She opens the lid with great enthusiasm, turning to face me. Her eyes are blazing, and she looks demon herself. I am sure she is unaware of her own. She looks at Scene and Jason and sees their agreement.
Today is September 29th, the birthday of St. Michael the Archangel. So it's a perfect opportunity to do this. You should be thankful that I let you live among us for a little while.
Hearing him shriek, I clench my fists tightly. If she goes this far, I can remain. Just as I'm about to stand up, Jason restrains me with his hand. He gives a sign to Scene, and the two stand up at once. Megan looks up at them with her mouth agape.
That's enough, Mom. We know what you're doing.
What do you mean?
You stole Dad's antiques, didn't you?
I no idea what you're talking at.
It's not just his stuff. You had taken my video games and spent my money on some meaningless brand name crap.
What do you mean by meaningless? You're the ones who are spending it, and I'm the one who gets to enjoy it.
She shuts her mouth abruptly when she realizes that she said the wrong. From there, Jason's verbal attacks. He had been in dire straits with no free time and no allowance. She's always concerned about how she appears to the world, and he hates complaining all the time. He's also been annoyed by her coming every event. When he's finished, Scene takes over and continues.
No matter how much money I made, you complained that I was wasting it or would be poor.
His voice is so low that it's unrecognizable from his usual self. He sounds like a priest trying to seat demon. She hangs her head down in silence and doesn't try to protest. He continues in a stern voice.
You never fed us well, yet you've my money. What more do you want to take from me?
He snatches the bottle from her hand, throws the liquid at her with all his.
Stop it!
You're the one who told us to get demon.
That's right. We'll drive you to us.
Come on, get out. Unclean spirit. Invader?
She stands up, her face bright red after being splashed by the water. She wobbles to the door and walks out of the house. Half a year later.
This looks delicious. Did you make?
Yes. I hope you like it.
Bon appetit.
We're sitting around the dining tab. After the drama, Scene immediately see Aaron with a divorce. It's still in process, but so far so. He's freed from her calamities and leading a healthy lifestyle as if no ever happened. Although he couldn't get all of his ants back, he started collecting them again. As for Jason and I, we are expecting our first child in August. We'll be a much livelier family when we get our new dog. We are very happy even though we have to pay. The mortgage and the financial headaches will never stop. While the three of us were enjoying our meal, Scene suddenly put down his cutlery. He looks at me with a serious face, straighten my posture.
Aaron, Jason, I'm sorry to bring such bad news, but I must tell you something.
What is it?
It seems that Megan has been stealing from our relatives.
I'm astounded, but I keep quiet and let him continue. After the divorce, Megan became poor and asked her relatives for help. However, she has a history of stealing their belongings. And they have already been distrustful of her. She has been working part-time jobs, but hasn't been able to hold them down for long. Her pride may be getting in the way of her problems with her colleagues. Scene says that much and hangs his head.
If she ever comes here, you can send her away immediately. I'm sorry for scaring you when you were expecting something else.
Please, Scene. 3. Thank you for getting rid of her.
Indeed, we have driven out the bad spirits, holy water, so it's all right.
Jason's half-joke, half-truth seems to amuse him, and he looks up with a smile. Jason took a glass of beer and point my stomach.
Toast to my dad's new chapter and our baby.
Cheers! Thank you, Jason and Aaron.
No brand name clothes and no delicacies in this gourmet deli. Still, our table is filled with many blessings. I'm the only one who doesn't